Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Friday, October 24th, 2025. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in L.A., he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. Today's episode is a bonus Friday episode for Daily Variety. It's been a super busy week, and we had too much good material to hold back. We'll talk with Variety reporter Selome Hailu about her cover story profile on Rachel Sennott, the multihyphenate behind HBO's new comedy Love L.A. We'll have a Just for Variety red carpet rundown with Marc Malkin. Sarah Michelle Gellar is talking about the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot. And we'll hear from reporter Giana Levy, who explains the enduring appeal of one of her favorite reality shows, Netflix's Love is Blind. Before we get to that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers. I'm in Silicon Valley today, taking part in the Paley Center for Media's annual International Media Council event. It's a heady environment of business and creative leaders, and all anyone can talk about is the fate of Warner Brothers and HBO. Can David Zaslav really command as much as $30 a share for the company? Unless your name is Ellison, nobody knows much of anything at this point. But there is a consensus among the CEO set that this auction process won't be quick. It's likely to drag on through the holidays and into next year. Meanwhile, the Writers Guild of America has weighed in with a warning about a Warner Brothers sale, and the writers don't mince words. The Guild predicts consolidation with Paramount or another major studio will be, quote, a disaster, end quote, for writers. The WGA vows to try to fight to block any such sale. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. Now we turn to conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. Selome Hailu, a Variety reporter focusing on TV and film, explains how Rachel Sennott has emerged as the salty and saucy voice of her 20-something generation. Here's a sample of Rachel's rapid-fire conversational style from Variety's cover story video. She explains the essential bicoastal tension for Gen Z that lies at the heart of Love L.A.
Basically, like when I moved to LA, I sort of had this whole crisis of like, wait, are my friends staying in New York? Are they staying in LA? And like, I think I'm someone who I've worked to become more independent in my decisions and like be able to be like, I'm here. Other people are doing their own thing. It's okay. I really struggled with that, still a little, but like, I think I had this whole moment where I was like, to my friend group, like, guys, where are we living? Who's marrying the person that they're with right now? When are we having babies? Can everyone let me know? Like, I just got so scared to be alone. And of course, I'll always love New York.
Selome Hailu, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Cynthia.
You are one of our terrific writers, and you really excel at profiles. And it is so perfectly you that you would have a fantastic look at a artist of the moment, Rachel Sennott. You have helped me pronounce her name properly. Thank you for that. She has a new show coming up on HBO called Love L.A. So my first question for you, Selome, is how did Rachel Sennott come on your radar?
Well, first, thank you for the kind words. I've been aware of Rachel's work for a little more than 5 years now. The show is so based in LA, and our conversation was all about her journey between LA and New York because, as you know, I just moved from LA to New York, but my journey with her started in Austin. When I was in college at UT, I had plans to attend South by Southwest in 2020, which was, of course, one of the first big events to get canceled and signal to the world that the pandemic was real. Shiva Baby, this movie that she starred in and made with Ella Seligman as director, was the movie I was most excited to see at the festival that year.
And I just
So
feel I have to point out that Austin is in fact your hometown. So there's a hometown theme here.
yes, so I finally got to watch the movie. I watched it on my laptop in bed while quarantining, and absolutely loved it. And I started following her on social media during that time as well, which was how she really first started getting an audience. And her following on social media was a big part of why Should Baby managed to get so much industry attention, despite being this micro budget movie made by a bunch of young people without a major studio attached to it. It was really a sensation in a time when it was kind of impossible to make an indie movie a sensation.
Am I right in thinking that she has evolved into truly auteurish? She's a writer and she's a shaper of the show I Love L.A.
Definitely. She is the creator. She's the star. She makes her directorial debut with the season 1 finale, executive produces as well, and served as co-showrunner with Emma Barry. The showrunner aspect of her role on the show, I think, is most impressive. She led the writer's room with Emma Barry. It harkens back to Lena Dunham co-showrunning Girls when she was in her mid-20s, just a little bit younger than Rachel is now.
Right. I'm just looking forward to seeing the full series. And I appreciate that it is not putting a gloss. This is not like palm trees and movie stars. It is LA of 2025 going into 2026, which is a difficult place. I don't want to steal all the stuff in your story, but I'm curious what, in talking with her, what kind of perspective did you get from her in terms of her experience living in LA, the cultural, the socioeconomic, political crosscurrents that LA reflects?
It really is a show about transplants, so I related quite heavily to that. She pulls a bit from her own life in that it follows a group of late 20-somethings who went to college together in New York, then moved to LA to make it and enter entertainment careers. So in my conversation with her, we talked a lot about her experience as an East Coast native who's now lived in LA for about 5 years and how difficult that was for her. She also moved to LA in 2020, like at the height of the pandemic. And so, it was a hard time for everybody. So a lot of what she spoke about was that all of the internal turmoil she was feeling and about the world sucking and life being hard, she was kind of placing on LA and telling herself that, oh, maybe if I move back to New York, all my problems will be solved. And then realizing that you just have to grow up and push through the hard things.
I also noticed the photos. Listeners, go to variety.com. You won't be able to miss it. She's playful, a bit provocative, playing with her own sexuality.
She's very intentional about her image. Every Rachel Sennott shoot is always interesting, though I think Varieties is the best. There's a lot of that when you look through the media that she's done. And we talked about that in our conversation. She had this experience of constantly going viral online and building a platform on social media, especially on Twitter, that preceded her career. And that was what she leveraged to get meetings with executives and to get stand-up gigs and to really establish herself before she had real inroads to the industry. And, a way to do that online and to get that attention is by playing with your sexuality. And so we talked a bit about this push and pull she felt of having fun with that and being true to herself with that, but then also feeling that people were projecting onto her or thinking that they knew her more deeply than they did. And so eventually she got off social media, and that really helped soothe those feelings. She's been, for the last several years, been putting all of those thoughts that are conflicting and exciting about the sexuality of a young woman in particular into the work. You see it in Shiva Baby, you see it in Bottoms, and you really see it in I Love L.A.
So other than I Love L.A., which I'm sure she would love to see picked up for a season 2, is there anything else that we should watch out for?
She has a lot in the works, actually. She said that a lot of her process of growing up is like realizing you can't say yes to every opportunity. So she's the co-creator, along with Schitt's Creek star Dan Levy, of Big Mistakes, which is a show that's coming to Netflix, I believe, next year. So she co-created that and co-wrote the pilot with Dan Levy. but didn't get to be in the writer's room and didn't star in it because she had so much else going on. She also co-wrote a biopic of Heidi Fleiss and was supposed to play Fleiss, but couldn't do it because of I Love L.A. And so Aubrey Plaza is now playing that role.
Thank you for shining a light on a talent that I'm pretty sure we're going to be writing a lot in the pages of Variety in the coming years.
Thanks for having me.
And now, here's Marc Malkin with a Just for Variety red carpet rundown.
Thanks, Cynthia. Christmas came early in Hollywood on Tuesday night when Neiman Marcus hosted its 2025 Fantasy Gifts Party at Bar Marmont. I caught up with Sarah Michelle Gellar on the red carpet to talk about the Hulu reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Gellar played the title character on the original series for 7 seasons before the show ended in 2003, and she told me she never thought she'd reprise the role.
This is why you never say never. And I'm sure I said never many times.
Right.
And I've learned my lesson, because I'm sure someday you're going to go back and find all the times I said no, never, I'm too old, it'll be Buffy with a walker.
SMG recently wrapped work on the reboot's pilot. Ryan Kira Armstrong stars as a new Slayer, with Gellar appearing in a recurring role as Buffy. Gellar said it was director and executive producer Chloe Zhao who convinced her to sign on. She also said, "You don't necessarily have to watch the original series to understand the reboot."
There will always be Easter eggs, because there was Easter eggs in the original, there'll be Easter eggs in this one. But we also want to introduce it to a whole new, people that maybe haven't seen the show.
To watch and read more of my chat with Gellar, check out my column Just for Variety at Variety.com.
Now we turn to a conversation with reporter Giana Levy. I've been looking for just the right superfan of Love is Blind to explain the appeal of this particular dating show. And after hearing her talk about the events of the season 9 finale, I knew in Giana I'd found the right person. Giana Levy, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start by asking you, what is it about Love is Blind and this concept that you think is so addictive?
I think the concept of it just trying to answer the basic question that people have been asking from the dawn of time, is love truly blind? So to have this show where it actually tests that theory on a question that people have been trying to figure out since forever, I think that is really the captivating part that really pulls people in, especially with the first phase of it, starting off with people in the pods who can't see each other and are strictly talking to each other through a wall and getting to know each other in that way. That is what brings us viewers and fans back for every single season. And what really keeps us there is the stories that we hear from the contestants as they open up to each other.
Do you remember how you first heard of it?
I've always been a fan of reality TV. So Love is Blind is probably the first dating show that I ever watched. I'm used to watching The Real Housewives. The concept of Love is Blind, it just really interested me because I myself have asked the question, is love blind? I wondered that. And so I'm like, okay, I'll see other people test it out and see if I can get my question answered.
For the uninitiated, talk us through. You start out with a group of people, men and women, and they live in different pods. And then gradually they get to a point where they pair off, but they still don't see each other until quite a long time.
It starts off, they're separated, the men and women are separated, and they start off with pods. We see them just dating each other. We see people visit the same person more than once, and that kind of just gives us a hint that maybe they are the most compatible right now, or they have some type of chemistry in the moment. And so while they're in the pods, they're asking those questions, those getting to know each other questions. And so that really, it starts there, and it leads into the point where a couple decides that they want to commit to each other, and we start to see engagements. And so once people start proposing to each other, that's when we get the big reveal and they're able to see what each other finally looks like. And that's always the best part, because you could see right then and there, is love truly blind based off their reactions.
And I just want to say Love is Blind comes from a company called Kinetic Content that is run by one Chris Colin, somebody I knew many years ago in a different incarnation when he was a top UTA agent selling reality shows. And at some point he went on to produce them himself.
So after the big reveal, then they have like a group trip And so that's when they're finally able to get some one-on-one time in person, and you get to see like how the dynamics are and how they interact with each other. It's also the first time where all the engaged couples see each other for the first time, like all together in a group setting, which is always interesting. And that's where a lot of drama happens because some of them might have dated each other. So it's always interesting to see that part.
With some close quarters there. And would you say the people that are around these couples, are there people going, are you crazy? You're going to get married? Or are the people basically kind of supportive of the experiment of it all?
I would say it's a mixture of both for sure. I've seen both reactions. People that are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you're actually going through with this, to I support you in whatever you decide to do.
As you move into the finale, what are the key things that you're watching for?
Is this couple actually ready for a commitment like this? Because yes, it's a show, but once the camera's cut off, that's your real life. It's already a real life, but once we're not watching anymore, you have to deal with that. So I'm really trying to see if people are actually committed to the experiment and the journey that they're about to embark on once the cameras stop rolling.
Have you followed the fate of couples if they actually did get hitched or got unhitched pretty quick?
It's not a lot of couples who have stayed together since the show, but there is one couple who I love and adore so much. They were in season 1 of Love is Blind, and they actually just had a baby, their first child together, Lauren and Cameron. They were in season 1 of Love is Blind, and they really have been such a solid example of the experiment actually working, the way that they've been able to build a family since then. They're my favorite couple.
Giana, you told me that something that has never happened before happened at the end of this season. This was season 9, is that right?
Yes. So just when you think the show can't surprise you anymore, this is the first time in the show's history where no couples got married, which is surprising and definitely unexpected, but honestly, probably for the best given this cast. One thing I have noticed, I now crossed over into the international versions of Love is Blind. And honestly, I enjoy the international versions better than Love is Blind, the American version. I really enjoy Love is Blind UK. That's the only one that I've watched right now. But I have friends who have recommended Love is Blind France, and they said they really loved it. So I just found it interesting that a lot of people are talking more about the international versions, at least between me and my friends, and just watching the UK version. I'm like, wow, this is a better viewing experience. Like, it has its drama, of course, but I find myself rooting for more couples on there than I have in the recent years of the American version.
Giana, thanks so much.
Thank you.
There's pretty much one thing that all of Variety is watching out for next week, other than news on Warner Brothers. It's almost Power of Women time. Variety will host its annual celebration of entertainment industry women, power, and philanthropy on the evening of October 29th in Beverly Hills. You won't be able to miss all of the Power of Women content and live coverage of the event on Variety.com. Our honorees this year are Jamie Lee Curtis, Kate Hudson, Nicole Scherzinger, Sydney Sweeney, and Wanda Sykes, plus several dozen accomplished industry leaders who made our impact list this year. Before we go, I'm sending out an early happy birthday greeting to my sister, Leslie Littleton. She took me to see The Clash in 1982. What more could a little sister ask? Love you, Les. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Selome Hailu, Marc Malkin, and Giana Levy. Sticks, Nicks, Hick, Picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and please tune in Monday for another episode of Daily Variety.